can't go into churches without vomiting.
Without vomiting. Just me this evening. I just figured I'd come on here. I was doing a little bit of editing. I haven't seen much activity on YouTube in terms of the circles of channels that I've been following, subscriptions, whatever. Anyways, I just figured I'd come on here and sort of open things up. And if there's anybody, I have like 6 viewers. I don't know. Anyways, link if you want to join me. Click it, and I will paste it to the top in YouTube. I just figured I'd sort of carry on from the little rant I had before the show Monday night about people who investigate the paranormal, if you will, and their methods, the methodologies, their terminologies, all sorts of shit. And there's just so much exploitation out there. There always has been, and there always will be, because it's not a regulated field. Um, Trust me, if it was regulated, a lot of people would not be in it. But that being said, am I for regulating the field? I'm sitting on the fence. I always have. I know Alex and I have talked about this many times on the show. And uh, I guess I'm kind of leaning more towards it again. Whereas before, I don't like regulation. I find that when you give certain people certain powers, um, it just seems to be worse. I don't know. And there's pros and cons to either way, obviously. And I've been thinking about doing a live series on my personal channel on the do's and don'ts of investigating the paranormal. Through my experience, like I said, I've been investigating and researching the paranormal for a long time now. And obviously, not everyone's going to agree with my methods, and that's fine. I don't always agree with everybody else's methods. But the thing is, just because I don't agree doesn't mean I don't embrace certain aspects uh, of how people investigate the paranormal. So, um, yeah, it's quiet. I guess 7 people watching, but nobody in chat. Come on, who's in? Excuse me, chat. You're awfully quiet. Not happy. Excuse me. It's awfully quiet. Come on, folks. Where are you? Speak up. Oh. But anyways, I've always been critical of the paranormal field, and rightfully so. I think you need to be. Um, if you're not critical of it, again, people get away with hell, and that's just the way it is. You know, you go through fads in the paranormal, like a lot of areas, and there was a time when people were calling for paranormal unity. I hate that fucking word, unity. paranormal unity. It's just impossible. It really is. It just is impossible. Everybody's on a different wavelength. And again, I guess that's where the regulation comes into. If you regulate the field, then maybe everyone would sort of. But the thing is, not well. Most people they look at they approach the paranormal from a sort of a traditional standpoint. They don't step outside the box and trying to understand. Um, Traditional meaning sort of like a religious sort of take, um, in most parts of understanding what's going on in the great unknown. I mean, it's just simply that when we think of the paranormal, the unknown, it's just this outside of what science can explain right now. And I know, yeah, people would say, well, science is fallible, and it is. It's not the end all be all, but at least it does explain a huge chunk of what we've been dealing with in the paranormal. There have been a lot of things that have been explained over the years that without science we would be lost still. Hey Luke, how are you? Good to see you, man. So I mean, it just and I get it. Fallible. I mean, humans are fallible. Everything about humanity is fallible. Everything that we create is fallible. Religion, science, everything is fallible. So I mean, it's not the end all be all. Um, Understandable, but at least it gives us sort of a guideline. But again, when most people look at the paranormal, they go, well, everything's a fucking ghost. Everything is evidence. I have evidence of the paranormal. And I think with the series that I'm going to do, it is trying to explain. Look at if you guys know me, I've said this many times on the show. Evidence. I hate that fucking word when it comes to the paranormal, because we simply don't know. Most of it is just theory. So I like to say collecting data, findings, potential evidence. Because that's what it is. Because we simply don't know if it's actual evidence. We don't. It's simply something that, in our current understanding, it's outside our current understanding, and that maybe someday we will understand it. It'll be explained. You know. So I mean, when people are hearing voices or having some sort of activity happen in their homes, is it dead loved ones? We simply don't know, right? I mean, a majority of people would say, "Well, yeah, it is. Is your dead loved ones?" No, we don't know. Religion and assumption over the years and traditional theory will state that it is dead loved ones trying to make contact with you. That's not necessarily the case. I mean, look at us. I mean, if you really want to dive deep into this, how do we know we're not the dead ones? We're not the ghosts, and we're not haunting, you know, whoever. We don't know. I mean, come on. Life has just when things are explained or theories are thrown out there, and lately it's just becoming crazy in understanding the universe around us. I mean, I do believe that when we die, because we're made up of energy, our energy transitions. I believe that wholeheartedly. I wholeheartedly believe it transitions. Hey, Sab, how are you? Into something that we won't understand until it happens. Obviously, I mean, death. Is it death as we know it? We don't know. We can't explain it. It's the great unknown, and that's why many people who face it, we all face it, obviously, but when those sooner than others face it and dread it, is it something that we need to dread? Exactly as I explained, Sab. Yes, it transitions. That's why I do believe we transition. Our energy transition. It's infinite. It's infinite. It never dies. It's like, hey, Jamie, how are you? Good to see you. It transitions, and is that our soul? It could possibly be. That could possibly be our soul. Our energy is our soul. Moving on, transitioning into the next level. But the thing is, what is the next level? Where or what is the next level? And that's the thing. We're slowly. Well, Sab, I kind of mentioned, the soul could possibly be our energy that actually transitions, right? It could possibly. I mean, obviously, it's a theory. It's nobody knows, but you like to hope, and that's where religion has always come in. You know, giving you that some sort of hope that when you die, you go to heaven or whatever happy place. It doesn't happen. We don't know. I mean, do we stay on this planet? Do we go somewhere else in the universe? To another planet? A different time? We don't know. Again, this is why it's called the great unknown. But why am I on this rant? But whatever. Seems, I don't know, intriguing enough. If anybody would like to join me, obviously, by all means, the link is posted, pinned to the top of the chat. So if anybody would like to join, by all means, this is completely open. You guys don't want to hear me blabbing about nothing. I'm boring. I think we do know deep down, but it's kind of beaten out of us as a kid. Well, yeah, I mean, and that is something that we've mentioned a few times on the show. When you're a newborn, born into this world fresh, you don't have all these filters that society sort of place upon you, and therefore, um, domestication, if you will. We as humans have been domesticated for many years now, thousands of years, and I think we lose our other senses, our abilities that come with them as we get older. And I think one of the greatest sort of conversations about that is like when you're a kid and you have your imaginary friend. All right, is it imaginary or is it real? And as you grow older, you sort of lose that imaginary friend, if you will. you know but the point is it imaginary, or are you actually in contact with somebody? you know are you in contact with somebody who might have passed on or in a different realm. I mean, there's again theories. Is there a glitch and say dimensions collide, and therefore you have some sort of anomaly that unfolds, and you think you're, in contact with a ghost. I mean, I hate and that word, that terminology, ghost. I don't like it. It's so archaic. Um, and that thing comes from elders too. It's a vicious. Yeah, exactly. But it's just it it's the terminology ghost is just to me is so archaic. You know, I don't like using the word ghost um in the traditional sense, because that's exactly what it is traditional. Something maybe of a religious sort of connotation, but I mean, is it a ghost? I don't know. I mean, I look at some of the I look upon some of the old ITC research that was done years ago on audio and making contact with quote unquote the other side. And you know, some of the recordings they had claimed they had made contact with one of the I guess researchers who had passed on. And the claim was that, you know, that researcher was saying to these people who are collecting the audio that the person who had passed on is in fact in the real world, in life as it should be, where we are actually in like a sort of a waiting room, purgatory sort of aspect. We're not really living life as realistic as well. We just don't know. And I mean, that's crazy. I mean, so are we the actual ghosts haunting the real world? Again, as weird as it sounds, call them what you want. They're dead. But are they? Are they, Sab? Are they dead? That's the question. You know, are they really dead? Energy is infinite, it lives on. So, sure, our physical sort of being is, yeah, exactly. Yeah, physically, yeah, we die. We have a time limit, but our energy being is a whole different ballgame. You know, what happens to us on the energy level? Does it keep going straight across? Do we cross over to a whole new universe, a whole new time period? Do we go forward in time? Do we go back in time? Do we jump into a different universe, multiverse? We just don't know. And that's the biggest question that we've been trying to answer for the since the dawn of time. What happens to us when our physical being dies? You know? And that's a question that will constantly ask until it's our time, until it's my time, it's till it's your time, you know? An answer hopefully will come then. I mean, but what if it doesn't? What if when you die and that's it? Bang. That's it. No more. No afterlife. No heaven. No hell. You just die. Go back to physical form, knowing there is going to be. Yeah. You know, I mean, these are things that we like to think. There is something after our physical vessel dies. I mean, do we become zombies? Yes, lingo purgatory. In between, and that's something I mentioned with the ITC research that they came out with years ago. That we're actually in a sort of waiting room, a sort of purgatory, waiting to enter the real life. We're not actually living right now, but we're actually in waiting to pass through into. So when you die, you don't actually die, you just move into real life as they make the claims, you know. Yeah, near death. You see, I again, a lot of people can be very skeptical with the near death claims. um I'm not going to discount them, obviously, but you know I mean, mentally near death, um how do you explain it other than your energy? I don't know. I'm not an expert, and I'm not going to be, you know pretend to be one, because I'm not anything close to being one. But it's just insane. It really is. It's just insane. But anyways, anyone want to join? By all means, just click the link there, pinned to the top. I don't want to keep blabbing myself. Let's see. But anyways, as I was mentioning before, I think on my personal channel, I'm going to start a new series on the do's and don'ts and going into depth of investigating the paranormal. Um, like I said, there's just too much crap out there, and I'm not saying you know my way is the right way, but um, through experience and through research and studying, blah blah blah, I'm going to give you my way of approaching the paranormal, because there's just too much crap out there now. And I'm not talking about just TV. TV is just, it's television, it's entertainment. But some of the people that throw shit on YouTube, Twitch, or whatever, and tell you, stuff like, well, I've got evidence of the paranormal. Really? And what makes you an expert on claiming this is evidence of the paranormal? What makes you more important to all those scientists out there that have been studying this for years and can't come up with an answer? But you can, all of a sudden, you, with your digital camcorder, and all of a sudden you've got a picture or a video and it's proof of the paranormal. Yeah. Okay. And there's just too much of it out there. You know, and social media doesn't help. When you try to educate somebody properly on this, it's like a mob mentality, like a lot of things. You know, people would like you to come into their homes and investigate issues that they're having, but they won't take explanation, like proper explanation, as an answer. Like 99.9% of all paranormal claims are explainable, very explainable, are paranormal at all. And but people won't accept that. They're like, no, no, absolutely not. It's like, well, then why did you invite me into your home to explain this stuff to you? I'm giving to you proper explanation on what's happening. Then what's the point? Why am I here? You know? I mean, most people, go in and investigate the paranormal, and they use these tools like EMF meters and Geiger counters and all sorts of these tools that aren't even made for looking for ghosts. They have place, a proper place in explaining the explainable. An EF meter, you know, is to be brought in to take base readings of the environment that you're working in. It's not to detect ghosts, but yet they do. They think, a digital recorder is a digital recorder. Yes, it can patch into the infrasound. A realm that I'm very interested in, and I've done a lot of my research on the infrasound realm. Again, but these tools weren't made. Yes, magnetic frequency, something that is prevalent as much as carbon monoxide, but yet you can't see it. You can detect it through a meter, but how many people have meters in their homes? Hardly anyone. And understanding what these frequencies do to you in large doses, small doses for a long period of time, or short doses in short periods of time. There's all different variations, and they all sort of affect us differently. But anything from creating illusions to making you sick to even, who knows, down the road cause something even more harmful. I had a case. I've had several cases, but one case in particular, I had a case where a single mom, her 7-year-old son, could not sleep in his own bed at night because, yeah, but you got to make sure, Sab, which one you go after, because there's a lot of duds out there, EMF meters. There's a lot of duds out there. But anyways, Yeah, I prefer to use a tri-field meter. I think a tri-field meter is the best to use uh, than a regular EMF meter. But anyways, and most people will like go after the EMF meter because they seem to be more attractive because they're ghost detectors. No, go after a tri-field meter. Yeah, again, that is something that was from a video game, I believe, Jamie. Again, I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting, but I don't think I would rely on it per se because again, it relies on uh, pinpointing like infrared sort of, and it bounces off particles. So I don't know if I really buy into that too much. It's neat. Again, there's so many parlor tricks out there. Like a ghost box. I'm not crazy. I've never been crazy about ghost boxes. You know, never. Just too unreliable. Uh, s- but you have to try whatever. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it, Luke. Again, I don't know how much I buy into that. I mean, it's like some of these apps on, you grab some of these apps, and a lot of these apps will, detect ghosts. And oh, I don't know. Not a big fan of that stuff. Never have been. I mean, I can't discount it because again, you never know. We're dealing with something we just don't know, and r- yeah, I've seen a lot of a lot by haunted by two ghosts recon at their houses. Um, yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of channels like that. I don't know. I'm skeptical with a lot of it. And the skepticism is because of the amount of time I've investigated and researched over the years. I have a hard time with a lot of people and what they post and the claims that they make. Yeah. And you have to. You have to. I mean, I'm right now I'm watching the documentary A Haunting on Dice Road. It's from 2016. It's on Prime, I believe. It's on Prime. Interesting documentary about this road. It's basically, yeah, good acting and props, but it's about this road in just outside Saginaw, Michigan, that has been known to be very haunted, and it centers on like I think there's two parts, but the first part is about centers on this house. I can't remember the name of the house, but the house um, basically, it just has what's happening in this house is the people. I believe the house was built in the 50s, and a majority of what's happening is they be in their home, and then all of a sudden there'd be like this banging on the outside of the house, and obviously startled, whatever else, they call the cops. The cops show up, and there's nothing there. They surveil the area, nothing. In fact, there was one time when there was a cop inside the house, and there was a cop, another cruiser outside the house, and he was calling him on the CB whatever, and saying, "Look at man, I've got this fucking weird knocking on the outside the house," and the cop surveilling that outside the house is like, "There's nobody there. This is fucked. This is crazy, absolutely insane." And people that have lived in this house, they've seen this figure, like a man, like just a really white face and hands up like this. And in the documentary, they captured something in one of the infrared cameras in the window, and you could see this, like this head, white head, and it's just so fucking eerie, just so eerie, you know. Yeah, I mean, look at some of the infrared cameras too. What they sell for. Just ludicrous amount of fucking money. I mean, don't get me wrong, they are expensive as it is. But when they rebrand them as ghost detectors, oh my god, people fucking go nuts and pay, extra amounts for what? You know? I mean, infrared detectors are great. But again, I mean, they're not made to find ghosts. If anything, they're made to rule out ghosts, rule out the environment, rule out any of the paranormal, and showing you something that's very explainable. But people get lost. They forget about this, and they're like, "What? It's a ghost detector." No, it's not. Never has been. Never was. Never will be. That's not what it was fucking made for. I'm just bantering here. And I don't know. You guys are getting bored of me here. I know you are. Um, Again, the link, if you want to join me, is at the top of the chat. And yeah. I don't know how much longer I'm going to go for. It all depends on you guys. Because you. Oh, uh-oh. Hello, sir.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I like that coffin, by the way.
Oh, you like my coffins, do you?
Yeah, I saw the coffin early. That's pretty cool, man.
Got two now.
You
Got a
got
little.
two of them now.
I've got two. Here, I'll show you. It's easier.
Yeah.
Hold on. 2 seconds. Let me just unplug this lappy. Everything around me at the minute, everything I'm doing is just my whole house is turning to just everything I've made. Like even the chopping board looks. You know what I mean? I've done the Lichtenberg and the epoxy on it. Like it's a proper little.
Hey,
Yeah.
Simon, how are you?
But
Oh yeah. So you got a larger one and you got a smaller one.
aren't they duty though? Aren't they quite cool?
Those are pretty cool, man. I made a little reference to a Monty Python, The Meaning of Life. It said you gotta put them on a cart and say, "Bring out your dead." Ring
Oh
ring.
yeah,
Bring
yeah,
out
yeah.
your dead. Ring ring. Those are cool, man. So what did you use? Reclaimed wood for those?
I mean, I could have it. I could have it either way. So I mean, it looks all right that way as well. But just to give it that Halloweeny effect, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they look cool, man.
Leave the buttons on the outside. Yeah, I reclaimed them from my local greengrocers. Yeah, the fruit and veg shop. Um, I go on a monthly basis because they have these extra large, kind of long pallets that they have.
The pallets, yeah.
They're not your usual pallets though. They're like corner bits.
Yeah.
That hold, that hold on the pallets and whatnot.
Yeah.
So they've got pallets as well as these big, long, 8-foot long pallet holder strips, and I'm like, okay, but they put them all down the side of the container for me now because I've been doing it for a few months. You know what I mean? So like, about once a month, I turn up with a wheelbarrow and I'm like, get the wood, and they're like, yep, thank you. They like it that I'm taking their scrap wood. They have to pay for it to be taken away otherwise.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Sab's Coffee Company.
Yeah. So I'm saving them a bit of money on their disposal of waste, and I'm using that waste to make some half decent little bits. I made that's what I'm saying. Look, I've made all this racking up here. I've done all that up there. I've made all that racking there, all the shelves and whatnot. I've made that mirror myself. The lights that on, so you probably won't see it as well. But yeah, made all that myself.
Oh, that's cool.
That's like the same pallet wood. That's the same pallet wood there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like that. Sturdy little. She wanted a shoe rack in the hallway, so I measured it out and went, there you go, right.
Hey, man, it's amazing what you can do with repurposed wood. People just don't understand. There's so much you can do with them.
Oh yeah, if you just met and the luxury we have of the YouTube as well, right? You know what I mean? You just literally do a quick YouTube and what can I make out of pallet wood? It gives you a few ideas straight away. But if you want to make something particular, YouTube that as well, like, and you'll find a few videos. And if you don't find a few videos, do something similar and then use your creativity and make something a bit unique-ish yourself anyway, which is always better anyway, to be honest.
Well, I grabbed a whole bunch of pallets and I made fencing for a cemetery.
Well, see, I've not just got the coffins. I've made a few little spooky ghosts. I've made a few bats and that as well. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've made. Tomorrow. I'm gonna make like some gravestones and such like. Do you know what I mean? I've got some foam out there, so I can actually carve them out a little bit. I've made a sign. You know, the kind of like stick signs with the bits of pallet on it with arrows. Yeah. So on that, I'm going to put like tricks this way, pointing away from the house. I'm going to put treats this way, pointing towards the house. Spooky in between, like, do you know what I mean?
That's cool, man. That's cool.
And yeah, then I'm just knocking. Well, we're like I said, we're at the beginning of the month. My little one, she's only 3, turning 4 next couple of months. She absolutely loves. She adores anything Halloween. She's like really into it. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
that is cool.
I can see her being a teenager and being a goth, to be honest with you. That's all.
Return of the Goths.
Yeah. She's going to, by 18, she's going to be a full-blown satanic ritualist.
Oh.
I don't know. No, I'm joking. But no, she absolutely loves anything Halloweenish and scary ghosts. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, that's cool, man.
Yeah. She doesn't get scared by the monster under the bed. The monster under her bed is her friend.
her like imaginary friend or a real friend?
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's just one of those. Like, so she has the opposite to like what normal kids usually grow up with. Like, you know what I mean? Like scared.
Yeah.
Because there's a monster. No. I want to go to bed because my friend's under there and we chat and we have fun. And he pokes his hand there. He tries to get me.
Yeah, that's cool when you hear kids they love Halloween. I mean, I decorate my house every year, and I love the kids. And they, when they come out and, either they're spooked right out or they're just like, oh man, this is cool. This is awesome. And I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'm gonna do all the garden and everything this year, like, do you know what I mean? So because we've got a half decent little bit of garden there, I can do it on. Neighbours would be cool about it, so I can use their little bit of garden maybe as well. Like, I don't know. Can have a little walk. Maybe that takes them over to next doors if they're willing to do trick or treating. I don't know. I'll have to talk to them and see what they say first. But yeah, anyway, yeah, that's what I'm thinking of doing.
That's pretty cool though. I like.
Go on.
The coffins though, they're cool. I like them.
Yeah, they're a good addition so far, right? That's what I'm saying. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, as as you were saying about back to square one where we was earlier in chat and
Yeah.
everything, like, energy is transforming, and we've talked about it. Like you said, I've even spoke about it a few times. I told you the story about what I've seen when I was younger. Do you know what I mean? And I've told everybody. Everybody knows it, like, and it's kind of like, I don't know. Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm saying. I know personally. I know. I know. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen something touch me and told me that that was there. Like, do you know what I mean? And that was a pure form of energy that I saw at that time as well. And when I
Mm.
say I'm listening to like near death experiences, not most of the stuff I actually see is where people have actually died and then been resuscitated. And they're the stories. And when people go on about, oh, I had a near death experience, I need, do you know what I mean? That's not the same. Like, I'm talking about real death experiences, like where people have actually died for a few minutes or whatever, and in that few minutes they've said like this experience, and there's so many stories. I've listened to it for years. Every culture, every every religion, every fucking.
Mhm.
How is that even possible then? That can't be possible, like, because there's and there's documented going far back as well. I
Yeah.
mean, do you know what I mean? But yeah, and then well, you talk about reincarnation and other stuff as well. If, like I said, you're given free choices. Like I don't even know if reincarnation's a thing, to be honest with you, because there's not much of that really documented. There's more of like, say, old soul. I've kind of done this. I feel like I've been here. Do you know what I mean? Whatever before,
Yeah.
like
I
that,
mean,
like you said, that's your light energy. That's that energy. It's not. I wouldn't say you've been reborn. I don't know. Like you say, I question everything myself. I touch it on both sides of the fence,
well,
sit on the fence.
you
You know
have
what I
to,
mean?
right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's. I mean, people will sell you something that seems, oh, this is cool, but is it real? You have to question it. You have to, you know.
Everything. I question. That's what I'm saying. I question it, but I know even that would happen. Then I still question it, but I not just know it. I just feel it in my heart as well. Like, do you know what I mean? After seeing it and having the experience, it's not just saying I know it because I feel it. I experienced it. It was physical. It was there in front of me. Somebody else was with me when it happened. They can testify to it. Let's say they're still. You know what I mean? You can still ask them now. They still testify to it. They'll still say like. But then I've
Well,
had that curveball thrown at me as well, where people say mass hallucination. More than one person can hallucinate about the same thing at the same time as such, like, so maybe that was a possibility.
I mean, I was in a old farmhouse, and we were investigating it, and I remember one time sitting in the front parlor room, and I remember, just sitting there with a recorder and asking questions, and I'm not psychic, man. I'm a psychic dumb as they come, but I had this really overwhelming feeling that there was children in the area. So I started asking, like, you guys playing games? What kind of games you playing? Blah blah blah, blah blah blah. And then within minutes, I had a tug on my arm like this, just literally like that. And I'm okay. What just happened? It was August. It was stagnant. None of the windows in the house was open, so I mean, it wasn't wind. It was literally a tug. And then, I go to the guys. I go, guys, check the audio, check the visual. Tell me if something happened, and nothing visually happened. But when you listen to the audio around the same time where my arm was being tugged, you can hear what sounds like a female who seems to be sick and can't form words. Like when they're like, you have no energy. You're in bed. And you're like, just sort of moaning,
Deathbed
and it
laughing.
sounds like a woman going, trying to say something, and I'm like, what the fuck? Where did that come from? You know, it just didn't make sense. What was it?
Only doesn't make sense because you didn't understand what was being done at the time. Like, see,
Mm.
that's one of the things I now believe. Like, I do believe in you kind of you like spirit, whatever goes on, and you can get stuck in purgatory. Let's say you want to call it that. You get stuck in between. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And you can have a soul that hasn't fulfilled its purpose, but also feels like it doesn't want to start again, and it can't go back to what it would. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of, you know what I mean. One of them, like maybe most of the family that they were with were evil people, like, so they can't be with them anymore. Do you get me? Like, it's,
Yeah.
I don't know, like, I mean, there's so, like you said, there's so much question about it. There's so much theory and so much you can throw at it. It just becomes a bit.
We don't know. We've been stuck. We've been stuck with this for so many years, and we haven't been able to advance other than, oh, hey, I got a new theory, but oh, that's nice and fine and dandy, but it's not furthering, it's not explaining what's going on.
Do you think? Do you think maybe when we have a breakthrough and they start trying to transfer our consciousness into like digital form, let's say, like Elon Musk is
Yeah.
doing with
Yeah.
the Neuralink
Yeah.
project.
Neuralink,
Yeah.
yes.
Right. Well, do you think that might even open up doors to finding out
It
this?
could. It could. You never know, right?
Think of
You
it
know?
this. What I mean is to elaborate more on my thinking about this is, imagine they do have a breakthrough, like within that industry of transferring your consciousness from this physical, like alive, like you are now,
Mhm.
and just before you know that you're terminally ill, you know you've literally only got a few days to live,
Yep.
so you give permission to that company to do the testing, and it's successful. Like, well, within the transfer of going over, would something happen? If not, and it did just cleanly go over into the digital world realm, whatever. Obviously, that's a whole new ball game of questions in itself. But my
Mhm.
question would be: would that consciousness be able to tell us what happens in between, or if there's a jump, or if they've been given a choice on the path to, etc., etc.? Like,
I
if
know that.
basically, if they could answer the question that we're asking mostly about, like, you know what I mean, about the spiritual realm, etc.
Yeah, describing the transfer, describing, yeah, as you put it, the in between.
Because obviously, what I
Yeah.
mean is, we now live in an age. Think about it, where our kids, especially, like, they've been born into the technological, so it's not a phase to them. It's no hindrance. There is no block against the technology. Actually, just, well, yeah, but it is what it is, isn't it? Like, we'll just let it take over. It's just, whereas our older people, because we've been brought into it, like, knowing how it's progressed exactly, and do you know what I mean? We went
Yeah.
from like Commodore 64 and Atari ST, etc. Do you know what I mean? Right up into the kids don't know what they don't know what we had to endure to get the gaming quality content that we have now. They
Mm.
didn't understand that we had to endure all that physical pain of playing them arduous games, which we actually thought were pretty darn good at the time.
Yeah, I give them to me any day. I love them.
Do you know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah,
like, we relish in the retro aspect of it because it gives us that nostalgia of doing it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like,
makes
yeah.
me feel young again.
But you can't. I mean, like, graphic content wise, etc. What I mean, that's a question in itself. Even in this world now that we live in, think about it. Where does all this technology come from, and why is it that we're using so much technology, and it's kind of become just a norm for everybody to use this kind of technology, like you were saying, the EMF readers, the spirit ghost box, and do you know what I mean? There's so much stuff that they're using now. Like, yeah. It makes you wonder, like, why has that just become all so pop? Because we're in technological age. We're coming into the technological industrial age. That's what we're in now. It's like we've moved.
We have
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of options now, a lot more than what we did, yeah, 10 years ago.
Oh yeah, it's
S-
growing exponentially. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
growing. It's like twofold in growth, and that's just, we don't know where it hasn't even reached its peak yet, has it? Like, do you know what I mean?
No.
It even
I
stop.
mean, I think now we're kind of stagnant.
We're getting
Uh
stagnant.
we're
Yeah.
pretty stagnant now. I mean, you look at stuff like cell phones. I mean, cell phones when they, the evolution, and then, you had a cell phone, then all of a sudden you had a smartphone, right? And the smartphone was like, wow, this is great. But now it's like, how do you top it? How do you top the smartphone? I mean, you can add little things to it, blah, 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 but it never really, it's never pushing forward like, that jump between the regular cell phone and a smartphone.
That's the next step, Steve.
Yeah.
We need an
It is.
alien invasion so the whole human race gets together, and it's not about profiteering from what we make. It's actually bettering the humanity race and trying to beat this thing coming from the sky that's trying to kill everybody. Like, do you know what I mean? I mean, like once the planet comes together and it realizes that capitalism and just getting growth on top of each other, it probably isn't the best way, but actually sharing everything out and making everybody be like, this is your artist, it's go off and create and do. If we had a generation of that, bloody hell, wouldn't we just flourish?
Well, here's a question for you. Here's a question for you, Sab. Are ghosts aliens?
Well, no, there's that aspect about it as well. When you say aliens, are we talking a different kind of physical force or different kind of physical, do you know what I mean? Entity. We'll call it an entity. That's better. That's a better word. Okay? Is it an entity from maybe a parallel universe, parallel or whatever, or maybe even from a distant place that they obviously have ways and means of just going.
And let's further that question by saying, are they the same entities that created us?
Or within the same capacity of they have a cloaking device and we can only, you know what I mean? Because we just see them in that kind of that way, and they might have even implanted something within the human race itself, like when they created us. So when we do see them, we see just an apparition. So we trick ourselves in our own mind, because the mind's a strange thing, and you can actually program. You know what I mean? If you can program a body to be genetically coded to make and look like I look the spits of my dad, I am. You know what I mean? Right? Yeah.
There's plenty of times when you've probably had something happen. It may have been a dream or just something that has been just so off the wall. You're like, wow, what just happened?
I've had lots of things like that happen.
Well, that's what I mean. There's that moment, when you're probably conscious or semi-conscious and you have this interaction. You're like, wow, that was earth-shattering.
For example, there was once I had a dream for several nights in a row, but the dream progressed through me going through this yard and this building, and do you know what I mean? Eventually getting to this square security building where these two black cloaked guys came out with blank faces and said, "You shouldn't be here. Why are you here?" And I never had that dream ever again. That was kind of like, but it was very vivid. It was very real. And each night when I went into that dream, I knew where I was, and it was like, right, I need to get to that next place there before I wake up again. Do you know
Astral
what I mean?
projection.
That is basically what I thought again. Because I was thinking to myself within the dream as well. Why am I here? This is a dream. I can't even get out of it. How do I get out? It must be that. This is the only way. Do you know what I mean? It was like
you're controlling it to a certain extent.
Walled off behind me, but there was these buildings and like, do you know what I mean? Like this apartment block, it was empty, and it was just really weird. Like, yeah. And then when I got round to like the back bit where I thought, oh, I can get out here, it was these two guys came over and went, nah, you shouldn't be here. Why are you here? Like, you can't come back here. Like, yeah. And I never had that dream again. So that was really.
You've never had it before? I mean, again? You've never
had it again. Honestly.
Wow.
Very strange.
Nothing never anything similar.
Even to this day, it was such a vivid dream. I can tell you every detail of that dream as well. Everything that happened. Do you know what I mean? I can probably even draw it out to say what it was. Do you know what I mean? It was like I was there. I just felt like I was there. Genuinely. Weird.
Yeah. I mean, hey.
All in colour and everything else as well, like first person, not like kind of looking at myself or anything. If I saw myself, it was in reflection. Do you know what I mean? It was like, Yeah. Well, I never really saw myself.
Crazy.
It was just like a blur in the window as I got up to it, and then it was weird. Like it was very strange, but very, very real.
Yeah, I mean that's another realm. I mean, consciousness and sleep.
Maybe it was
It
just a
just,
really weird batch of sleep and dreams that I had. Maybe I don't know.
I mean, I know a lot of people. They have dream journals. As soon as they wake up, they write down exactly what happened because obviously it's still fresh
You
in their
forget,
minds.
yeah, you
But
forget the stuff. Yeah.
some of the stuff that you dream about, it's like, how do you how do you put it down into words?
How does
It's
your
just
mind do it though? How does your
y-
mind do that when you're asleep? It's like you've got your own cinema going on inside your head.
yeah,
So
it's just some of the dreams I've had, man. It's just like,
powerful,
wow.
man.
If I was to project that, yeah, onto a movie a screen, wow.
What's
You just,
go on? Tell us one of your strangest dreams that you ever remembered.
oh wow, man.
Go on, fall in the park. Whoosh, go on,
Yeah,
I'm out there. Come on.
there's just so there's like it's shattered. It's in pieces, and yet there's things that reoccur, and then differently. Yes, they do, Jamie. They feel so real, so vivid, so immaculate. You're like, wow, was I dreaming? Or you have to take a second and go, wow, that was a dream. And you could only the thing is, you only remember so much of it. You don't remember the whole grand scheme of it all. Imagine if you were to remember it all. Wow, you could write a novel.
Yeah.
You know, the strangest dream I've ever had. I don't know, man. I've had some pretty strange dreams.
Pick one and tell us. Go on, like I've just done, because I've had loads as well. One of my other dreams is when I was in hospital. I'm not going to go into great detail, but like I had 3 dreams in one dream, so it was like an inception of a dream. When I woke up, I thought I'd woke up, but then I was back in the dream again, and then this scary thing happened, and then I thought I'd woken up again from that dream, but I wasn't. I was still asleep.
Uh,
Telling a dream.
I just I remember having this.
I had to get out of bed and go and ask this girl, and it was like, pinch me. And she's like, well, I'm awake.
It's really weird because I remember when I was a kid, and I remember you'd be, you place your head on the pillow and you could hear your heart beating. And I remember, falling asleep, and I remember, you know, the heartbeat would turn into what sounded like somebody is following you, like footsteps. So the heart beating became the footsteps in your dream, and it was just really, really weird. And it's like somebody is catching up to me. Somebody's getting close. And then you sit there, and as you get older and you think about this and you go, is that mortality? My mortality are those footsteps, and they're getting closer and closer and closer. And then death arrives at your doorstep. Hey, Terry, how are you? It's good to see you, buddy. They're just so insane. Some of the dreams that you can remember. Well, parts of, they're so vivid and just so real or
I remember,
surreal.
I remember slaying a dragon when I was a kid in one of my dreams.
Oh yeah, a dragon.
Yeah, I don't remember much detail about it now, but I remember it was so real. I was like a knight in shining armor, and I slayed a dragon.
And did the dragon return?
No context of story. That's it.
How many times did you slay that dragon? Just once?
That's it. That's all I remember of it. But like, yeah, it was great detail at the time. Like, I could have probably wrote a book about it at the time. Like, oh, I went on a mad adventure to save a princess, and I ended up killing this dragon, etc., etc. But yeah, as far as
Like
I remember, I just got a dream.
I have this reoccurring dream, and of course it plays out differently in parts, but it's always in the same house. And this house seems so familiar, but it's not. I've never been in this house before, but for some reason it seems so real. It seems so familiar, and I don't know why. But it's like my mind is taking me to different rooms in the house, and there's things unfolding in each room, and yet Omicron, baby. Omicron. What, you have Omicron? You have COVID? Uh and like I said, it just your mind will stop in one of those rooms, and you try to make sense of what's happening in those rooms. You see familiar faces. You see things that seem so familiar, but yet they're so distant, and when you wake up you can't remember it. It's odd, but it's a reoccurring thing. It happens every 5 years or whatever, I don't know,
I know
but
what
it
that is.
just keeps coming back. Have you ever had those?
I know what that is. No, well, I'm going to explain on a different kind of terminology for you here for you. Right. I was going to do something then, but never mind. I'll pause. Um, so you went into the box section of the brain. You went into the actual rooms where you keep the boxes. I'll explain in Greek days in a bit more detail. I'll elaborate. So men and women think on different ways, right? Yeah. Men have boxes. Women have this big ball of wool, wiry wool, whatever. Like, yeah, it's just all connected. They think about everything all at once, so to speak. It's all like, rah. But we have boxes, us men. And whenever we think about something, we go to the box, we open the box, we have a look inside, and we go, right, yeah, that's what we need, right? And then we put the box back, and that's it. Like, we don't really think about it. That's it. The box is in the room, like, it's gone.
So you're saying it's only guys that have these boxes?
Yes, and also within this analogy, as it's spoken by somebody else, I can't quote who it is, I can't remember, but they also say we have a nothing box. You
A
probably
nothing
YouTube,
box.
you probably YouTube that. You'll find this what I'm talking about. And we us men, we like to go to the nothing box, and we like to open the nothing box and stare into the nothing box for no apparent reason, and then just spend a while there, and then shut the
I'm
box, and then wander off again.
something intriguing about this box. I can't look away.
Yeah.
It's so relaxing,
Right,
and yet it's nothing. My mind is
I'll
numb.
do a test for you now, like something that you're not completely thinking about now. But now, if I said, if you want to go fishing this weekend, what have we got to get ready?
Yeah.
Now,
The worst.
the woman would come think about that completely different. She'd be thinking about the journey, the sandwiches, everything. Like, yeah, what were you thinking about? What are you thinking about? Fishing tackle, beer, and where are we going?
Simon says the worst dream is when you're just about to pork a decent bird and wake up just before you get there.
No,
Uh,
what's worse is when you do get there and then wake up.
now that is a real nightmare. Yeah.
Go get a towel then.
uh, yeah. Yes. Some. Yeah. It's crazy. It
Sorry,
is. It
I
is.
went there. Yeah, sorry.
Come on. Come on. What was the weirdest dream you've had? The weirdest. I mean, just off the wall.
I'll let somebody in chat answer as well. I don't know. My most recent dream was was a few months ago, and it was yet again another recurring dream. And this place was like a little pub, But to get there, I had to walk past a football stadium, and there was a big fence I had to climb over, and then cross over a field again. And this pub was like, it was at the back of the stadium, so it was like on its own little cul-de-sac, but it is an old one that had just stayed there from when this stadium thing had been built. I only went over there at the night time when the stadium was closed, and climbed over the fence and went over the field, then a little run, and went into the pub. And as I went in, there was always little old man sat. I still recite this now. Like, I went to the bar and ordered my drink, and as I turned, there was a little old man sat in the corner who would greet me and say hiya. And then there was like a couple that were playing bridge or whatever on a table. Do you know what I mean? And then there was a young girl who was always sat by the window. Yeah, do you know what I mean? It was, yeah. I'd just go in and say the usual as well. Like, it was just, yeah. And I went in that about four or five times maybe. Yeah, and yeah, that was last year basically. Like, do you know what I mean? So it was about a year ago, let's call it. But that was a weird dream as well. It was very, very weird, like you say. It was kind of like everything was in order though. The bar was there. There was no fruit machines, you know. And I took note of all this as well, like being in my current, thinking like, why is there no fruit? Why is it really old? Like, why? You know what I mean? Thinking, why am I in this pub? Like,
have you ever looked into being able to read dreams?
Well, that's what I was going to say next. Was I did obviously, yeah. I do kind of try and read into dreams and what they actually mean. Maybe it's a perception on your day-to-day life, and it's trying to put things in order, because that's what most people say anyway. That's what it's like. You're condensing what's happened during that day or two, and if it's been a bit more traumatic for you, something's happened really, but you're going to have more intense dreams, etc., because your brain's trying to sort out and trying to keep you sane, basically. Like, do you know what I mean? Without you. Yeah, trying to filter.
It's cleaning it's filtering out.
It's filtering out what it doesn't need to remember, and just remember the key things that you need to remember, basically. Like, yeah, which that questions you again. Well, why did I remember such great detail from a dream? Then why can't I remember such great detail from going in bloody Walmart shop and remembering which aisle the bloody paint's on? Like, because I went in there bloody 4 months ago and I got paint from Walmart. And I know which bloody shelf it's supposed to be on. So when I go in this time, why am I? Do you know what I mean? Why can't I? It's one of them sort of situations. Like, why has it remembered that? There's obviously a reason for that. So what was the key message about that? Especially to remember it as well. Has that lesson not yet learned? Is that why you've remembered it? Do you know what I mean? You got to go through such a thing. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. And I think one of the most important things is to pick up symbolisms. You know, because I mean, there are obviously things in these dreams that we have that symbolize things. You know what's really going on now. Okay, but they're like disguised as something else, and learning how to figure out what those disguises mean. I mean, symbolism is a huge thing. You know, I don't know if you know much about symbolism, different symbols and shit. But I mean, when you dream, I don't know about you, but I know I've had these weird symbolisms play out, and you're like, I would literally drone over thinking, what the fuck? What does that mean? You know?
Many people have done that. You end up doing it. You end up stewing on it for a good couple of weeks, and then it kind of wears off, and you kind of forget about it until some, like tonight, talking about all the. Do you know what I mean? That kind of triggers it off, like, because you start remembering it. And you're like, oh bloody hell, do you know what I mean? What did that even mean? Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah, I can remember so many dreams as well. It's really weird, but I'm a midnight talker anyway, so I don't know if that affects me as well. I don't know if medication on certain extents would affect you. And when I say this, what I mean is when I haven't been smoking for a good few days, let's say, because I don't smoke all the time, you know what I mean? I'm not like, it's like drinking. It's like I'm not a heavy drinker, you know what I mean? If you know me, obviously, you know I don't really drink all that often at all. Like, so you know what I mean? I'm a midnight talker. That's my poison. But but even that, it's like I cut back and I only have a little bit. Do you know what I mean? If anything, and yeah, I don't have like max amounts of it. Yeah.
You know what I think is what gives you the most craziest dreams though? If you eat it before if you eat it before you go to sleep, before you pass out, ice cream.
Oh, ice cream. They say
Yeah,
cheese,
I'm not.
dairy product. It's not just this. It's dairy products apparently because
Yeah,
it
yeah.
laces the body with them kind of yeah. That's still
You get some pretty fucked up dreams, man. Holy crap.
yeah.
You know, at least I found with ice cream. I'm like, I'll have a little bit of ice cream and
Yeah,
pass out. It's like,
I would
holy
think
shit.
with cheese. If you eat a lot of cheese before you go to bed, you're gonna have nightmares. That's what kind of old wives' tale is. That
Oh
like
yeah, yeah.
yeah. Well, I'd
And
say
dairy products.
what the studies actually suggest is if you have dairy products before you go to sleep, you're going to have more vivid dreams or more intensive dreams. Yeah, that's what the studies actually show. It's nothing to do with having nightmares. I think
No.
that's just an elaboration on the actual. I think it's just a way of saying it. Like, do you know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
eat cheese at night. You're going to have nightmares. It's just an really layman way of saying to the kids, don't eat dairy products before you go to sleep.
Oh, there's control mechanisms again.
Well,
If you're
think about
bad,
would you describe it?
you're
Yeah,
gonna get coal in your
yeah.
stocking.
Fucking MK Ultra, you're like, yeah. You work for the CIA,
Now we're gonna get into a whole different ball game here, Sab. You know that.
Psychology 101.
MK Ultra, the Montauk effect.
Message.
Yeah, it's some crazy shit, man. I mean, that'd be a cool job, though. To be a dream analyzer.
Well, do you know what? I can do it for Luke now while we're right here now. So he's
Yeah.
said that my dream last night when I was exploring an abandoned house, and there was a doorway that led to an alleyway, and down there was Tiger, and it started running towards him and at the door, and so he slammed the door shut behind him, and as he did so, it hit the door, and then he woke up. My analogy on that would be that you've been going on a few explores that may be of a dangerous situation, or you may be thinking about going on explores that are of a dangerous location, which generally they are, and that danger is proceeding through to your brain and saying to you, just be cautious because, like, you know what I mean. Every step you take could be dangerous, like, so to speak. Like, so that's just a confirmation in your head from you going exploring in real life to your brain that and saying, yeah, you're right. Just be careful what you're doing because bad shit can happen.
And I mean, could it be? And look, I'm not obviously, condemning or anything. Could it be just like you're going into locations without permission, maybe? And that you're probably fearing that the authorities are going to show up and bust you or whatever else. I mean, it's
like really, like you don't. I'm just speculating, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, it's an analogy, isn't it? Yeah. Right, just believe the science. Trust me, just believe the science because that's the science now. Okay.
No, I've gone into a lot of abandoned location. Well, not necessarily. Well, yeah, I guess abandoned. And I mean, you never know. Somebody might be watching the place, and then all of a sudden the cops show up. And oh, what are you doing here? You don't have permission to be here.
Yeah, trespass is a civil matter for us.
Yeah.
It's just get off my land.
Yeah. Oh, I was just passing by, and I was just figured I'd take some photos.
Yeah, we can kind of get away with it here. If we're told to get off the land, then you just get off. Like, do you know what I mean? It's one of them. Not do you for anything else if you just do as you're told. But if you stay, obviously, and you start causing a ruckus, then it becomes
it's a different story.
Yeah, obviously, like, do you know what I mean? It's just the way it is. Like, but it's different where you are, isn't it? It's just if you get caught trespassing, it's just.
Well, I think it all depends on the owner, right? I mean, the owner could probably push the envelope a little bit, but I mean, for the most part, it's just, most of the time the cops will like, okay, just get out of here, sort of thing, right? If you come up
with prolific with it and then you're known for it, then you got a YouTube channel and you're doing it quite often, then maybe not much.
I do for the well, it's different. If I'm investigating something, I will definitely make sure I've got permission. I mean, that's a whole different ball game. But I mean, if you're exploring abandoned locations and stuff like that, I mean, it's different. I mean, you go into places that I think as long as you're being respectful in terms of you're going in, you're just taking some photos, some videos, just exploring, and you just leave things alone. You leave them as is. It's not like you're taking anything, and you're not sharing the location and blah 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 blah, and then you just leave,
As long
right?
as respectful about it, then yeah.
Yeah, because I know I was dealing with a an abandoned cemetery. I remember like an old pioneer cemetery, and I was getting pressure from somebody. Oh, where's the location? Can you tell me where it is? Can you tell me where it is? No, I'm not. I can't tell you because I don't do that. Next thing I know, how do I know you're not going to go there and you're going to fucking have some sort of fucking some
But,
satanic ritual
but
going
that's not
on?
even so much. No, if you get too many people, just start ruining it. Like, do you know what I mean? You get people,
Yeah.
oh, we can party here, or we could do this here, or they start taking bits and pieces, and if 20 people all turn up at different times and take one piece at a time, it's all gone by the time.
Well,
Do
that's
you know
the
what I
thing,
mean?
right? I mean, I had somebody they found the location of one particular place, and they spread it on the net. They told
Well,
everyone this is where it is, and
this is the
then
this is the thing about
couple
yeah,
days later, we went over there, and all the headstones in this thing they were knocked over. There was candles everywhere, and I'm like, fuck. See, this is what I mean.
yeah,
Why
yeah.
would you fucking desecrate this? Honestly, what
Mm-hmm.
do you need to do that?
Yep,
You know?
yep. Well, they do.
That fucking
People do.
drives me nuts when people
There's
don't
always one
respect.
there's always one that ruins it for. Like I said, it's a big thing in the urbex. Luke will back me up on this as well.
Yeah.
Most, if not all, urbexes over here, they keep it all to themselves, pretty much.
Well, that's the thing, and because they
No,
fear they fear that happening.
mm,
You
I've had
know?
people pin me locations and say, "Oh, this is a." Do you know what I mean? Like I've had Matt from Secret Vault.
Yep.
He sent me a pin. Do you know what I mean? I've had him send me a pin, right? So,
Yeah.
but I'm not really. I'm not. I can't really do it at the minute with having the kids and that. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm stuck at home doing what I'm doing. Like I've got my own little, as you see. I said I'm going to start making, and I am. I'm doing Halloween now. Like so, you know what I mean. So yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, it's different. Like so, but they do keep it within themselves as a little group. So, and
Well,
yeah,
yeah. And again, and right, it's kind of like a, what is it? It's an unwritten rule with these guys, obviously, and because
honor
of
amongst
that,
thieves, you know.
huh?
Honor amongst thieves. That sort
Yeah,
of thing.
yeah. I mean, you find a location, you share it with, X amount of people, and that's it.
We shall find a location. We shall bring our guns and we shall duel there. Ha ha.
But then you have the ridiculers that will go, fucking, why aren't you sharing where this location is? What's the big fucking deal? And they put pressure on you. He's like, no, this is the reason why I'm not sharing it with you, because you're a fucking idiot.
Because I don't know. Well, mine. I just tell them. I just don't know you.
Yeah, well, that's it. I don't know you. I don't know what your intentions are when you go there.
Know you. I trust you. Sorry, it's just the way it is. Like if I knew you, and you know what I mean, whatever. And even if you had your own channel and you was built up and you was doing explores, then maybe because obviously you've got your own little. But you know what I mean. Other than that, you can't just turn up randomly and start saying, "Give me these pins." Like I'm afraid I can't do that. That's what I say. I just be polite and honest about it. It's just one of them. That's just the way I am. Most people get it, and if they spit the dummy out, I just block, ignore, see you later, bye.
So that's the slang, eh? Looking for pins.
Yeah, looking for pins. Yeah, that's what they do. They share pins. That's what they call them, like locations, pins. If you go on Google Maps, you start putting pins in, don't
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Exactly.
you?
There was one thing I found, what was cool in finding some of these locations was something I did for a little bit a few years ago when it first started up, before it became popular, was Randonaut.
Random Nautica.
You know what that is?
Of course, I do. I've seen many a big
Yeah, but I
naughty.
mean, before it became popular, and I actually found some really interesting locations.
My cat. I usually have the laptop on, and her tail is just ping, 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 right in front of the bloody cat. Look at, honestly, look at it. Seriously, look. Oh, she's lifted her head up. You disturbed her. She had her head upside down.
Hey Dan, how are you?
Oh, look at Mama going. Yeah.
Somebody's really relaxed there.
On my bloody laptop shelf, yeah.
That's hilarious.
7 bloody cats now in there. Oh, it's going to be terrible putting all these props up and everything in the garden. The cats are going to be attacking them left, right, and centre, aren't they?
But yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Randonaut thing, but I mean, I did find some really interesting locations though out of it.
I suppose I did try. Don't get me wrong, I did try it when it first came out, and before it
Yeah.
became all these people doing TikToks and stupid videos.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and what I mean is, I've seen so many people like they turn up at locations and they found something strange and weird, and it's like, oh, directed toward. Of course, they've had a friend go out there at the same time and meet up and do something like. You know what I mean? Have somebody scary in the woods, like, well, obviously locations are obviously shared then, like, you know what I mean? Somebody else is using it at the time, whatever. It's one of them, like, it's like, how fake do you want this? Yes, please. But I did try it. I went on the motorbike about 3 or 4 times, and it did take me out to just fields, because that's where I live. So that's where it took me. Didn't it?
A few of the fucking points I had. Well, a lot of the points I had were in the middle of the fucking lake. I'm like, what am I gonna do with this?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Simon, I agree. It was a load of crap. It was, and they did make their money. But you know what? I did actually find some pretty fucking cool, fucking locations, which was really cool about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, by chance, well, yeah, obviously, I'd go to places that I wouldn't normally go to, and then when I found the place, I'm like, hey, this is actually pretty neat.
Suppose if you found some half decent places, then that's all right. But everywhere it took me, the 4 places it took me, it was literally just one was up on the new road that they'd built, like the bypass road, dual carriage sort of little way that leads on to Hastings is about 8 miles away, so it's like a little bypass way that's gone back.
Dan says the new trend is geocoaching. That's been around forever.
Geocaching, yeah. That's just. Luke does a lot of that. He finds out where people are by geocaching. He just takes a screenshot of where it is and then goes fucking Google geocaching to find out where it is that they are. Like that's what Matt was doing the other day when he was trying to find. Was it Brady? In America, right? You know what I mean? He's like, right, where is he? I was screaming at the computer hours. Matt, you're wrong. He's not in New York. He kept saying it the other night as well, days after that, and he kept saying New York again. I'm like, oh my god, is he not? Has he forgotten that much? He just got New York stuck in his head for some reason.
New York.
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah, Randonauting was a different level to it. Exactly.
Well, I suppose if they upped it again and they kind of like reshuffled the programming on it to actually be, do you know what I mean? So maybe, I don't know, maybe they could improve that, and make it actually something. Maybe somebody will take it and make it better, do you know what I mean?
Or we could be psychic and say, go to these coordinates here and you'll find something fucked up.
Or maybe when the Neuralink takes over, we'll be able to digitally go back in time and we'll find hidden treasures that have been buried by pirates on desert islands.
Imagine that if it took you to a fucking treasure pile.
Wouldn't it just? Imagine if it actually reveals everything.
Wow. How amazing. You'd become a millionaire overnight.
Think of it this way. They can already do, is it LADAR, where they do lights, aerial radio detection, whatever it is, where they bounce off rays, and they can go through mountains. They can see through the Amazon rainforest and detect the actual flora and everything else. Imagine if they start doing that across the whole planet as like a network, and then they start revealing exactly what's under everything and wherever. You know what I mean? They start like kind of like. That'd be fucking crazy. Like, yeah, finding all these hidden treasures and
We'll
all this.
find
Yeah, yeah.
we can actually document those actual ley lines.
Hey, that yeah, all the magnetic fields and everything where it all grids and everything else. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I reckon it'd happen eventually in the human
It's only a
race.
matter of time.
Yeah, yeah, it's the human. Not in our time, but
There's an app. There's an app for it already, Sap. You know that, right? There's an app to trace all the ley lines. I bet you there is.
oh yeah, I've checked all the ley lines anyway. I've seen all the proper drawn out grids and stuff like that. I looked on Google Maps. You know what I mean? Google, not just Google Maps, but images, everything out on maps of it. Like, yeah, honestly.
Yeah, I'm not a big. I'm not a big fan of it, Dan. Ghost Tube. Just not.
I don't like them apps. It's stupid.
Not a big fan of it.
I think they're silly. Honestly, I just do think they're silly. Like apps on your phone. That's like saying I've got an X-ray device on my phone. You haven't. You've got an app pretending to be an X-ray device on your phone. That's what you've got.
That's like going and watching porn on your PC as opposed to watching it on an app on your phone. I don't know where that came from. Oh my god!
Oh, no, well, let's move on anyway. I've got. Let's see. I don't know. I don't watch none of that anyway.
Ghost Tube.
Don't watch that.
When I saw him say Ghost Tube, I'm like, oh, what is this? Porn?
I don't know what it is. Ghost Tube. Is it like a different YouTube but for ghost channel? Is it like a ghost channel?
No,
I really don't know what it is. Honestly, I'm not.
Ghost Tube is it's a thing. What is it? We're talking about the stick figure dude thingies.
Oh, the SLS stuff.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what they're talking about, referring to.
Yeah,
I don't know, but whatever. I don't know. I just don't know. But anyways, I'm calling it quits.
Yep.
Sab, I want to see when you get to. Are you gonna decorate your house? Are you gonna do some stuff?
Not the inside, just the
garden. No, outside for Halloween.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the garden and that. Like, I'm thinking about it. I don't know yet, but I've got lots of tube in there as well, so I might be able to make a little run going to the front, like a little ghost tube sort of thing. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Like, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it, man. Because you may see the progress of me getting there yet, because obviously it's at the end of the month. So we've got a full, 3/4 of the month left at least, to go. So yeah, let's see.
I'll probably do a walkthrough of mine when I get mine all done up. I'll probably post it for you guys to see here too. So
yeah. Spark innovation, so you get
I'm excited, man. It's the best time of the year.
It's genuinely because little one's at that age now. She can appreciate it. She knows. She's seeing me build this stuff as well. So when she sees it all go in the garden, I can put little invites, because her school have said that they're not going to celebrate Halloween. So let her have a little Halloween party sort of thing. Like, do you know what I mean? And Yeah. Do you know what I mean? See if she can invite. And we're going to have people knocking on the door and stuff. So it's going to be exciting for the neighborhood to see it. Be like, hey, this is a bit mad. Nobody else is doing this. This is cool. Literally probably be the only one on the street to go full bore and do it the way I'm.
But that's cool, man. That's cool, man. That's hey. There's nothing wrong with that. I love that, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. So,
I want to see it. I want to see it, dude.
Well, it's got me. Look, I'm doing loads of bits, and I've got so much creativity. I've got a full workshop of tools there to do it all with. So let's crack on. You've seen, I've already built a couple of coffins and some.
The coffins look cool, man. I love them.
A couple of days, like I've got the wood and I've done it all already.
now you've got me urging to make some coffins now. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, if you know what you're doing carpentry-wise,
I made a coffin a few. Yeah, I made a coffin a few years ago. Yeah, so I like what you did. That actually they look pretty cool, man.
Yeah, I've got a pen. I've got to sort them out, put some wood stain on and all the rest of it. I've just like, I've literally, all I've done is I got the sand, flappy sand disc and took off all the, the Sharpie bits and
Yeah.
handed it down a bit like at the minute. So that's where it's at the minute. I've brought them indoors so they don't get wet outside. Like, so then I can do what I'm doing to them. And then when they've all been stained up and weathered, I can stick them outside already because they're going to stay out there anyway. But the little ones, I might even start making them really nice and then knocking them out as little bars or something like that. Do you know what I mean? We'll see what we can do with that.
That's pretty cool, man.
Bring that little bit into the business, etc. Like, do you know what I mean? So another little item to the inventory on the business side.
Sav's Coffin Company.
Yeah,
I love it.
Custom ordered, personalized to size.
That's cool, dude, man. Thanks for coming on, dude.
Thanks for having me, man. Yeah.
All right. Take care. Take care, everyone.
Take care, everyone.
Night. Later.